There we go. Alright, so tonight I'm going to be working on a Robute Guilliman that was started by a client, sent it in, wants us to finish it. Looks like so far he's got it in pieces and he's primed it white. So that's about where we're going to start from. So as you can see, we got a very white starting point, which is a good and a bad thing. Something I'm used to working with, so it shouldn't be that big of a deal. Just trying to figure out what parts I want to start with. Got my colors chosen. I'm going to use some Pro Acryls for this and probably some NMM for the gold. I'm going to start from there. So I think the big thing I should probably start with first is getting some of these pieces assembled because I don't need them this far gone. I just need them somewhat structured together. This is really easy to do when it's this far apart, but I'm going to put it together a little bit first because it's just going to make it, I think, a little bit easier for me. But this base, let's get this base actually put back together. Get it up and running and going. We'll just take some good old Tamiya plastic glue here. A nice secure bond. Get it centered as best as possible. We're going to set that aside with its little, I think one of the torches broke off. Yep, here it is. Set that over there. These torches are notorious for breaking off. I'm not surprised by that at all. But we're going to start on, what do we want to start with? Roll call. Start with the right leg or the left leg. Just because it has this nub, I think I'm going to start with the right leg. So what I'm going to do with this is I have a couple things that I made just to attach to handles. I took some alligator clips, stuck it in a 32mm base. That allows me to do, take one of my GW handles here, put it in the base, flip it on, and then I'm just going to sink the teeth in just a little bit. I got a nice firm surface to work with. Just dialed in here a little more. There you go. It'll be a lot easier to see once we actually start get rolling here. So normally the first thing I would do is a bit of airbrushing. I think that's probably going to be the best approach just to get that initial blue on there so it's nice and tidy to start with. So let me clean out my area here. Normally I would be using my booth for this. Since I am streaming, I'm going to be doing this at my desk. Keep all these little parts together. Grab my good old Evo. Don't judge me, it's extremely dirty. I'm going to go with some dark gray blue for the initial layer here. And I need a dry palette for mixing. This one. What I'm going to do with this is take my dry palette, take a couple of drops of paint here. Don't need to be crazy. That should be good enough. And then I need a little bit of flow paper. Should be. Mix that together. Oh, let's see here. I usually use color shaper, sculptor to mix this all together. There's one. I'm getting used to where my desk is since we just moved rooms. This will help me kind of judge how well my paint's actually getting ready to go. That's still kind of thick, but that should do. Just a base coat. Load that up. Actually going to take this well off because I don't need it for this. Do a quick test fire. See what I'm working with. Looks good. All right, let's throw some paint. See what this looks like. Should be able to you see a lot easier into different colors. A nice dark blue-gray feel. Good foundation for what we're going to do with it. And right now I'm just looking for opacity. Nice, good overall coverage. And a good starting point for what I'm going to do after that. Go hands and blow out some of this white. I'm more of a dark to light painter anyways, so normally try. It's just my style, how I like to paint. Now we got that nice blue leg already. Some of that blue might be popping out, or I'm sorry, that white might be popping up, but that's fine because we're going to get rid of that. Some other tools out here. Alright, so with that blue on there, now I'm going to start actually going in and doing some layering. So this is the right leg. It's kind of posed like this. A little bit of fire in the back. Outside's a little bit bright. He's got his hand sticking up. Just trying to remember some of the placements as best as I can for when I'm laying down some colors here. Focus for you guys. Okay. So with this, now I'm going to go straight up to AK Blue. AK Blue? Pro Acrylic Blue. And I'm looking for a bigger brush for this. I think a 1 will do good. Alright. Start laying down some actual colors here. Probably get some dark blue on my palette too so I can mix them together. So I normally like to use the layering when I do this stuff. So I'm going to like slowly build my way up. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to lay some color down. Kind of trying to get away from the recesses. I'm trying to focus on where I want my brighter points to be at the moment. Work my way up here a little bit, just picking out some spots. You gotta be careful with the Pro Acryl though, because it has longer drying time than other paints. Even though it looks dry, as soon as you add any type of liquid to it, it immediately comes off, loosens up. But as you can see, as I touch that spot, that's not because I used a brighter paint. That's the white undercoat. I know a lot of people like Pro Face, but for how fast I like the paint, that's kind of a downside for me. I do like a lot of other colors though. Nothing that we can't go in and tidy up and change anyways, because that's going to be a lighter spot just because of where it's at. Go too crazy, want some a little bit down here. Obviously, once we get towards the top of this kneecap, it's going to be brighter because that's where a lot of light's going to be hitting. This is the outside of the leg. Yep, see right there? Did it again. What's up, Chuck? We come in here and start getting some of this thigh. Not going to go too crazy with it. Just want to establish where my high points are. And with that, now we're going to switch straight to just a full, pure 100% blue. Now I'm going to slowly just start working my way up. Same thing. I'm just picking and choosing some spots. Where I feel like we need more vibrancy, brighter colors. So this looks very bright at the moment, so that's good because I'm trying to make it brighter so that way I can bring it back down, but I want to bring it down uniformly with all the other blues at the same time. So sometimes you got to paint to 11, dial it back down to 9. Drop back down to my 50-50 mix between the two. Start fading those colors in together. Come to this side, I'm going to start pulling it away from that brighter blue. Again, this is just establishing our basically our main colors. Oh, there's my red. What's up, buddy? I was wondering when I was going to see you pop in. We got to get this kneecap in here too. So let me grab some of that 50-50 mix here. Kind of just trace out where I want it. Build off of. And like I said, then we got to back off because this is Pro Krill. Monument Hobby, so we got to give it a little bit extra drying time compared to what I'm used to. I feel like I need a little bit more of a darker blue in there as well. So what do I got? That'll be interesting. The second die. Avery, what you talking about? What did I forget today? It's a trick question. I forgot everything. Adding a little bit of black paint on my palette here just to give me a little bit more of a darker blue, just because I want to reinforce some of these shadows. I'm going to do the inner side now. So just like the opposite side where I did more brights, this side I'm going to bring in a little bit of that black into the blue just to help shape the shadows. Do not want to go crazy with this. I just want to show the difference in the blues. Alright. We're going to get the last blue on our palette, which is going to be this Pro Krill Sky Blue. So this is a bit bright. I mean, it's sky blue, so I mean, it's what you expect. So it's about, yeah, bright. Reminds me of a Lothran blue, something along those natures. Of course, now I have it all over my fingers. We get my mix ready here, so I'm going to take some of that mid-range blue, add just a hair of the sky blue to it, just to brighten it up a bit. I don't want to push it too far, though. Nice tip on my brush. I'm going to start feathering in highlights here. Same thing, I'm going to come in here, just choose a couple of the spots. Do not want to go crazy with this. As I get brighter, I need to be more selective of where I put it. Too much of it will just throw everything off. All right, so now I'm going to go in there and I'm going to add a little bit more sky blue to that. And I'm just pushing the boundaries up, getting that light really to pop off of it. But now I'm going to get really touchy where I'm going to put it. I'm going to add a couple like little highlights here and there. Nothing too extreme. More of just placement. I can come and blend this in a little bit later here once it has proper time to dry, and I can do some glazing. start tracing out some of these designs they left us. Get back on the camera. There we go. Now you notice I'm leaving this part alone a lot because I'm going to have to put that on the body and actually attach it. Once we do that, then I'll actually be able to tell where that shadow needs to be a little bit more. So that way I don't want to mess with it too much. I don't want to build up too many volumes right there because I'm probably going to have to change it anyways. But the other ones we can mess with right now. Like this one right here, I'm going to push it a little bit more out. That nice rich blue coming in. I want to make sure I don't overdo it because I still want to keep the underlying darker blues. That contrast really helps the shapes pop. Back some blue gray. Now you see that I'm pulling it away from that blue I just used because I'm trying to get a nice blend of it together. You always want to pull away from that color. Now, if you push into it, you're going to destroy it. You're going to get stark lines. You always pull from it. Right here at the bottom, I'm going to use some of that that black blue that I mixed. I'm going to grab some of this bright sky blue, just straight pure. So this is the same thing straight out of the bottle here. I'm going to use this for my edge highlight. To be very detailed with it. Does not take much. Since I've already built up the volumes around the edges, this is more of like a spot highlight. A lot goes a long way. If I do too much, it actually will change the color of blue, and I don't want that. Just want to accent it. I have to come back and blaze this one out a little bit, just because it's too stark right there. Thanks, guys. See, Aria's telling the world about our son. The little rascal he is. He's a good boy, though. Feather that back out. Right now, we're working on this face right here. So this angle right here. So with that, I'm actually going to switch off the blues here for a second. I'm actually going to switch over to some NMM gold, just so we can start laying down where we want that stuff to be at. I'm going to start out with this Vallejo color, smoky ink. It's kind of it's not really an ink, that's just what they call it. It's like a dark brown. It almost reminds me of like a Rhinox hide in a sense. I just wanted to lay it down so it gives me a nice, rich, dark color. The painting on top of blue, I can do it. It's just more, it's going to give it too much of a cool tone. And I like to start with a warm tone because it just helps enhance everything I stack on top of it. I'm just going to grab some of this filigree right here. Because, of course, you know Gully is just dripping with filigree. When they hit their teens. You know what? Red, I agree. I remember how I was as a teen. I am not looking forward to it. What are those? That okay, that's all gold. I don't remember if this eagle was gold or not, but it is. You know, it helps if I actually put it here in the center, you know? Pull this over. Yep, that's gold 2. Eldest has started listening to something called mumble rap, and I'm like, what the hell is this rap? We're old, that's why. As a metalhead myself, I remember when my parents said that stuff. Granted, my parents were a little bit more lenient because my stepdad was a metalhead himself. So he at least understood. But I also came up in the, what do they call it nowadays? The Screamo era. Yep, that's parchment. All right. So, as I said, we're focusing on this shin area right here, right now. So, we're going to lay that down. And then we're going to break out some good old-fashioned ice yellow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm basically going to start placing my highlights so I know where I'm building from. This is basically kind of a sketch in a sense. And the reason I'm sketching it out is because NMM has a lot of reflections and everything else like that. So you kind of have to place it, play around with it a little bit so you can figure out right where you want it, what looks natural for you, and then build off of that. Sure, I got all this blue and brown out of my brush because ice yellow tends to catch everything. So this is where it tends to look like butt for a minute. Let's see here. We need a bright spot right here. So yep, right there. Go right here. This little curve right there. This is where we start to see some of that reflections pop out. So when you're placing these, you're just trying to think, okay, I got this beam of light coming in at this angle. What would it hit? Like we got that. Grab a little bit right there. Bit right there. Just like that. See, it's going to start looking a little weird at first. Now, I got to get my other colors ready for this. So a lot of this is actually going to be a flat earth and an ochre brown. Get these on my palette. Let's start rolling through these. So now I want to take this ochre brown, start building out my secondaries. Get it mixed up here and prepped. So basically now I'm doing the same thing. I'm just aiming a little bit different spot. So now I'm trying to go around the sides of it. This is when you're going to start seeing some of that actual gold feel start popping out a little bit. Because this ochre brown is like the center of the gold. If it doesn't turn exactly where you want it right off the bat, that's fine. Just give it a second to rest and come back. NMM's a lot of going back and forth until you're happy. Slowly but surely, we got it starting to pop out. Yeah. Avery, if you want to pop into the Twitch and see if you can kill the ads. Keep forgetting to do that. Now we're starting to get that richness in there. Alright, so we got those initial colors in there. I really like how this one's popping out right here. Reinforce some of that again. Alright, so now that we got some initial colors starting to pop through, you can start seeing exactly what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to piece these together. So you have like the lights, then it's fading into that richness, which then is coming down into a darkness. The big thing when you're doing NMM is trying to keep like where your light bands are focused, but also not trying to keep them too uniform, because I mean light's reflecting everywhere. So if you keep the same pattern over and over and over again, it starts to lose its realistic, stops looking realistic. I forgot what word I was going there for a second. Like, I don't have a really good blend right here on this spot. I don't like it. Okay. All right. Meds are kicking in. See you, Red. Thanks for stopping in. It's good hearing from you. Now we're going to start reestablishing this blend up here so we can get rid of that ugliness. Just fine, because we just need to go back and forth here for a second with a couple colors. It's like it's too much ice. Like, that's the thing with this, is you gotta find right balances for right spots. Let me add some yellow ochre to some ice here. See if we can tone her down a notch. Might just be too much in that one spot. There we go. See, now it's starting to fade in where I want. Don't be afraid to experiment when you do stuff like this. Sometimes it's just off a hair. Feel like you're not doing a good job because of it, and it's really because you just needed to add just a little bit more something else to it. Some harsh blends in there. Just smoothing them out just a hair. You do want them to be a little harsh because metallics tend to have harsh reflections where you have stark contrasts, but you don't want them just straight change a lot of the times. You want them to blend. So it's like a quick blend, not over a huge areas blend. You just want it to be stark so it changes fast. Funny enough, the faster the change, the more glossy, the more reflection, the more shiny it actually looks. I'm back in here with some of that topped ice earth. Use some shaping now. Pull out some of these lines. All right, so let's add a little bit of smoky ink to that mid brown. So I think I want to pull this down just a hair more. Right here at the bottom. We're getting that dark reflection. Starting to dig it. Pull this out just a hair more. If I can get it to come out, come on. There we go. Feathering in some of this lighter brown here. I'm gonna go into that ice, basically the really light yellowish tan and that first ochre brown. Start popping in some more reflections. And this is basically what this is going to be. It's just a lot of back and forth in these colors until you're happy with it. So with that, let's finish off this side. So another thing people like to do, and I'm going to do it here myself, I'm going to tone it down a hit, is your panel lines. So I'm going to come in here with some iced earth and some of that yellow ochre. Get a bright color here. And I'm going to start just tracing out some of this armor. We brought that down, but then we're going to trace on the outside of it. This should help bring out the reflective. Be very subtle. I don't want to lose any of my blends. Don't want it to be too overbearing. A lot goes a long way with this. Just helps give that definition right to it. So what other colors can we play with while we're at here? Reestablish some of these. Don't need anything too crazy. Then I think I'm actually going to do a reverse reflection. So normally you got the light coming down from this way. As you can see, I've kind of put it so it's like this. But this, I'm actually going to establish one as just kind of a little bit of a bounce back. This is going to be a small reflection. It's not going to be huge. But it's just to also help, you know, give that shape to the object. A lot of this is going to be on the darker side though, because we're right at the end. Close to the ground, so we got a lot of things popping back up. And what a lot of people would tend to do here is actually bring in some of the ground colors into this to play off of it. I might do that, but since I haven't established what my ground's going to look like yet, that's going to have to wait. Alright, so since I got that, it's still pretty dark. So what I'm going to do with that then is how we did that earlier. I'm going to grab some of the ice yellow and that yellow ochre, load up my brush here, and I'm going to trace everything out. This is going to help bring out all the shapes, help sell that effect a little bit more without me having to build up the brightness in those spots. Alright. I feel like I need a little bit more color in there. So now we got the scripture. So the scripture looks like your typical parchment paper in a sense on the box. Whites, grays. So let me go grab a few recipes and I will be right back. For this scripture, I think I'm going to start with some Raycarth flesh. The reason I like that is because it's got kind of a parchmenty feel anyways. A lot of people would start a lot of times like Xandri dust or a tan, something like this. This I feel covers more of a dirty, musty old parchment paper than Xandri dust. Covers great, gives me a good foundation to start off right off the bat. And it's actually a lot closer to the mid colors too. Some of this mixed up. So we're going to aim for obviously this parchment right here. Get the back side here. Nothing too crazy, just quick base coat. And I'm going to do the same thing with the flying scroll text on his leg here. Big thing right now, I'm just trying to keep smooth, keep my service. Just even that just helped bring out that difference so much more with that. For the skulls and the actual whites, now I'm going to go back to some old school styles. I'm going to use Celestial Gray. This is my foundation for skulls and everything of that nature. Maybe. Possibly. That needs a new bottle. Get that one base coated. First, we got a lot bigger one right here on the knee. All right, so we got that laid out so far. Probably should have grabbed my other colors for that, but I think I'm going to up a bit. Now, I'm too fan of the acrylic for that one. So let me grab my Purity Seal wax colors. Okay. So our first color for our Purity Wax is going to be a Screamer Pink. All right. So now that we got that on, we gave our Raykarth flesh a second to settle. Let's get some Pallid Witch flesh out. So kind of the same concept here is I'm going to take some of that Raykarth flesh. I'm going to mix some Pallid Witch flesh into it, just to kind of get a medium tone between the two. And then I'm going to come in here and start tracing out the shapes and how I want them to play with each other. So far, here's a quick panel line. A little bit brighter up here towards the tops. You can see I'm using some line work, just kind of shading in here like this. Then I'm going to do that again. So I'm going to add some more Pallid Witch Flesh to that mix. Moving my way back and forth. Slowly building up these colors where I want them. Alright. Now I'm going to move straight into pure Pallid Witch Flesh. That was tainted with yellow. I guess I accidentally hit that. Thought I made it. Alright. Next, what we're going to do with that, I'm going to add... Let's see what's brighter here. The Pallid? Try that. Grab it. Where I thought I grabbed it. I did not. I'll grab it. Add a little bit of pure white. Any white doesn't matter. This one is just model color Vallejo white. This is just to enhance that Pallid Witch Flesh even further. It does not take much white. This is more of your panel lining highlight. Defining shapes. And we might as well go hit the parchment paper while we're there. I'm basically going to do the same thing. I'm going to build up off that Raykarth flesh. So this is Pallid Witch Flesh mixed with Raykarth flesh. So basically I'm leaving little darker strips where there is wrinkles, hairs in the paper. Skip up another color here. Add a little bit more of that Pallid Witch Flesh just to increase it slowly. Using this to enforce all of those points which I just did. This dramatically increases the shapes. Everything starts popping out more and more as we go. Now this is going to be straight pallid witch flesh. We're going to fade over into our whites like we did before. Getting really selective where I'm adding this. This is more of pinpoints again. All right, we're going to add pure white now. And this is very, very minimal. All right. And there's our, basically our layer of our parchment prepped for the next stages. All right, there I am. So let's get that purity, the actual wax itself ready. So we got the Screamer Pink on there. We're going to go up to Wazadaka. So basically we're just building upwards now with our colors. This is more of a pink red. So we went from a purple red to a pink red. I'm going to do the same thing I've done with all my colors. I'm going to make like a 50-50 mix. Maybe a little bit darker just to play with it. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to start bringing out the shapes. Nothing too crazy. Now I'm going to go to pure Wazadaka. Being a little bit more selective every time I go. And to finish it off, then I'm going to switch off to Pink Horror. So I'm actually going to bring in some pink. This is kind of my pinpoint highlights. So I forgot there's a ridge right there, so let's go hit that quick, bring that into existence. And we're just going to work through the same things we did before. I'm going to grab some iced yellow. Pick my reflection spot. It's going to be somewhat close to this one, maybe off just a hair, just to play with the reflection a bit. Right about there. Look good. Throw another one over here. Play with that one later. Give that a second to dry before we build it up. Got a little bit of brown on my blues. Bah humbug. I gotta go and rebuild it. But I also forgot that we have these skulls right here. So, great thing with these gray skulls is I have Celestia Gray, which is dark, and I have Pure White already on my palette. So I'm just going to grab a little bit of that Celestia Gray. I'm going to add a little bit of Pure White to it. Should bring me up in colors, which then I can use to start structuring out shapes. Bring out the forehead, teeth. Same thing with this one. It's going to bounce back. So basically now I'm just going to keep loading a drop of white in there, bringing up that gray until I'm happy with it. Try to shape it a little bit since they didn't really give me too much to work with. It's a smooth skull. All right. Get some pure white in here now. A little bit of that blue back. Start structuring this dark hole. Go. All right, so let's go back to that little piece of trim that I forgot down here. Pull out some of that brown ochre. Drop down another color. See if I can trace this out here quick. No, I didn't have enough water in it. Alright, we can fix that. Alright, let's get that. A little bit more color right there. Again, like I said before, I'm just bouncing around now. Alright, grab some of that Smoke ink. Starting to feel pretty good about this side here. However, you gotta get this under filigree. Try to get it right there on that little lip there. There we go. All right. Yet. See if we can pop in a trace line here at the bottom. Here and start popping out some of these shapes. So you gotta love when you get like stuff like that happens. That's okay. That's an easy fix. Alright, so let's get this underfoot here. So I think I'll put a shadow right in here because this is going to cause a shadow. Then we'll build out from that. So to get that color, I had dark blue-gray. I'm going to add just a little bit of black to that. Give me a little bit of a shade difference. I'm going to come under here and I'm going to start reinforcing it. I'm going to start right under source. I'm going to pull it out. Give that a second to rest because it's got pro acryl in it, which means it's going to take a minute for it to get ready. Meantime, add a little bit of more color in this top sphere. There's that straight blue. Not getting on everything that I just did. Okay, let's see if I can pop in a quick highlight. All right, so now that we got that first dark blue established, grab some more of that regular dark gray. Start doing a little shaping with it. Actually gonna add just a bit more black. I really want to push that darkness right in under there. Really sell that that's a shadow. However, the rest of it, on the other hand, can get pushed to the blue. Come in here. I'm just going to keep pushing right up the colors here. Switch into more of a sky blue. Come hit these reflections. Okay, now we're going to come in with that sky blue. And we're just going to do some pinpoint highlights. Alright, so this is where it gets interesting a little bit, is the reverse sides of models. So we know how to do the highs. How do you do the lows? It's like we have all this, it's pretty. Obviously, we can't really push up too high into these colors. You kind of have to limit yourself a little bit. But then you use your tracing to your advantage. So let me pop in some colors here and I'll show you what I mean here. So this is just that brown flat earth. Vallejo flat earth. Getting a nice situated spot here. Pull just a little bit of the yellow ochre. Just kind of tracing it out right now, feeling it out. Not trying to go too crazy with it. Take some of this yellow ochre and this flat earth mixed together. A lot of this stuff when you do this is on the fly, so you're mixing and matching. Kind of get a good feel about how you want things to look after a while once you've done this technique a bunch. Much. Just using yellow ochre, trying to trace some stuff out. Basically now what we want to do is use the ice yellow. That's our high spots, and I'm just going to trace some of the stuff out, just the highest points that we really want to reflect a lot of. Like we got this knee right here. Just want to catch it just barely. Get it right into that. Yep, just like that. Do not want to go too crazy with it. Using kind of a dry paint right now for this, just 'cause I'm trying to catch the edge. Just trying to leave sharp lines as much as possible. Just like I need to come back into the eagle wings downtown on that shin. Of course, a little bit more. All right. So I'm pretty happy right now with this side of the leg until we get further along where I'm going to start incorporating the washes, the final highlights. So I'm just going to start bouncing around and start focusing on the rest of this leg. That is kind of, we got this nice strip of color, but then that's all we got. So let's change it up. Let's get some more color in here. Like, let's go and start working on this thigh, getting that thigh brought up. That's going to be a little bit darker of colors. It's fine. We kind of want that. I'm going to build in some other colors here as well. For example, I'm going to come here in the back half. A little bit of that blue pop in there. And while that's doing that, I'm going to just sit here and just start working through the other colors that we've been dealing with. Get the filigree ready. While we wait for that, this all sealed up. All right, let's get some regular blues in here. All right, so same concept. So let's grab this ice yellow. We're going to sketch on this. Just a little bit different because he's got these intricate designs in his filigree right here. So we kind of have to pick and choose where we're going to put this. So I'm going to put a spot down here. I think that's a good spot. Put some here. Spreading it out a little bit as much as I can. That's good spots for our reflections. Our second one's going here. It's too thin. All right, let's get that flat earth in there. All right, let's see if we can do some tracing, get some of this stuff to pop back up. Oh, this will be fun, tracing out all this star. So the fun thing about NMN, I'm sitting here thinking about it, a lot of times it looks like wood until you start putting in filters. Filters are extremely thin down glazes. That's when we start bringing in the yellows and stuff like that. Start pushing some of this away from the browns more into the richness of the yellow to really give that gold out. Alright, so let's get the undergreave here, the hip piece right here up and running. Right now you see I'm using little slashes. I'm trying to save as many of the colors as possible. I'm just trying to build it in, maintaining what's already there. Smooth it out as we go. Yeah, there's that wood kind of feel. All right. Add some saturation. I get all these little nooks and crannies. Get the endpoints here. All right, so on that note, I'm gonna leave it there for a minute. And I'm gonna take my break. So we're hitting my 2 hour mark here. Refresh my palette because it's starting to get a little dry. And then we'll go in and start hitting the back panel here and bringing that out next. So just give me a few minutes. I'll see you guys here in just a second. Alright, I'm back. See what we can do about the rest of this leg here. So we are going to start working on a little bit more of an approach now that we know what our formulas are. We're going to start trying to knock out the rest of this piece. So I'm going to go ahead and bang out all the blue the rest of this model. That way we can just get that done and over with. And then we'll come in, we'll start hitting the NMM golds. I think that's about it for this. Got a little bit of silver here and there, but not too much. Got a fresh new palette. It wants to come out of the bottle. There we go. Dark gray. All right. Ooh, bit black. That's right. I did add black to that mix, didn't I? For our shadows. All right. So let's go ahead and start getting this ready. Checking spots, make sure I don't have any spots that need a lot of correction. I found a couple. I'm gonna go ahead and just grab some of this black. Trim up these areas because these are all dark recesses anyways. Alright, so we got the back cap here. So I'm gonna have a vertical line about the same where my paintbrush is for the brightness. So I'm going to start with a little bit of that blue, a little bit of that dark blue. Start building it in. But right there. I'm going to add a little bit right in here as well. Not going to go too crazy with it just because we're going to fall into shadows. Leave this side dark blue. Give that a second to rest. Get some pure blue. So again, this is the same concept. I'm just sketching. I'm just using blue for the sketches this time. The reason I have that mix under it is now I can sit there and I can take that and I can pull away from it and kind of blend those colors together. A little bit more of a mix in there. Sometimes it takes a coat or two for it to start hitting right. Sometimes you got to make a step in between too. It's that lower, what do you call that? Heel plate? You know, they have to have guards everywhere for everything. We're gonna call it a heel plate. None of that right there. Big scribbadub gone. Alright. Oh. Okay, now I'm breaking things. So now I'm just creating some highlights here, just tracing out this blues to help bring out some of the shapes. And as I do this, I'm gradually adding sky blue to my blue here. Slowly build it up. Alright, I'm going to skip straight to sky blue. Head and clean up the mess on the filigree. All right. See how that top panel in there. Still not digging that blend. Getting closer. We need to add a little bit more of a runny blue. Put here towards the middle. All right, let's see what we can do here. Go back to my sky blue blue mix. See how this behaves. Yep, pops my CL. As we start to bounce colors around, what do I need? I need something besides my sanity. No sanity for me. That is correct, Avria. No sanity for me. Only a strict paint diet. had enough for one day. Sanity depleted, especially for my day off. I'm gonna leave this right here. We're gonna pick this particular one up tomorrow nights once we come back into the paint pit here, and we'll get this leg finished off and move on to the torso. So until tomorrow, I'm gonna put a paintbrush down and I'm walking away. Until then, I will see you later.